Another Thursday.
Another beautiful day.
Yes, sir. This week has been crazy, man.
It's been a long week, bro.
Yeah.
Productive though.
Everything with the hurricanes going on, restrictions.
You saw those pictures from those hurricane?
Oh yeah.
That was
Oh, yeah.
crazy, bro. It hit Jamaica. It was a Cat 5. That's probably like the worst one that they've ever had.
Yeah. The stats that they're saying on that hurricane is crazy.
That's insane.
But you know what's one thing? I feel like for Floridians, for us here, that's something that wouldn't have phased us.
Bro, Floridians are different. We're a different breed.
People would have been out buying beer, whiskey,
Taking out the kayak in the middle of the road.
buying stuff, man.
That's it, bro.
Here in Florida, I feel like we're so accustomed to it. At least us, and we're young guys.
Yeah.
How many hurricanes have you experienced here in Florida?
Bro, I think I've been here for like real hurricanes, maybe two. Like
Two?
2 or 3 of them. Yeah. 2 to 3 of them.
I've been through a bunch.
Bro.
Not gonna lie.
I think the worst one was a few years back, bro. I think it was like 2019, I think it is.
Yeah.
That one, yeah.
I remember that one.
I think that was like the worst one so far. But, bro, nothing crazy even happened.
We're so accustomed to it. I think it just left Cuba, but this whole week, I mean, and it just comes out of nowhere.
Bro,
Comes out of nowhere.
I didn't even know there was a hurricane until
So late into the season too, you know. It's been back to back. I feel like the Caribbean and Florida, we never get a break
Never, bro.
from storms, hurricanes.
Like the one that just hit the West Coast.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That was bad. That one, when it hit Tampa.
I remember that I went to Naples for an engagement party back a few months after the hurricane had happened, and it was just extremely shocking to see what was left and the progress of rebuilding everything. You know, everything just being back again, like rebuilt, and it was still just destroyed. It was absolutely like devastating to see what
Bro.
that looks like in comparison to what it used to look like.
I remember when I saw the pictures of like Fort Myers, I think it was. Like the beach and over there. Like they had like this big bridge, that is very known and stuff like that for people. And bro, when I saw the pictures, you couldn't recognize anything, bro. Half of the things were gone. The beach was destroyed. Everything was flooded. That was a bad one. I think that was probably like one of the worst ones that South Florida has gotten in a while.
Oh yeah. We're lucky because knowing Florida's luck, I feel like we're lucky that thing just didn't do a whole other 360 and then aim right for us, you know?
Exactly.
So we got saved. Luckily, we're here. I honestly hope that everybody over there makes a quick recovery. Same with Cuba. I know that in Cuba they got hit pretty bad too.
Yeah.
The videos are pretty crazy, and the resources there's just no resources
For them over there.
to help people. So it's very difficult, especially knowing that, because at least we're in a place right now where we have the resources and the things to
Rebuild
get us
fast.
back up.
Yeah. And the worst thing, bro, I think is like specifically in Cuba, bro, the way that the island is set, they always hit them, bro.
Oh yeah.
Always. Like they don't catch a break. It's insane, bro. I'm like, man. And to know that it's a country that has, like you just said,
Nothing.
low resources. The houses over there, bro, like they're not built like here. Most houses here, they're hurricane impact windows, doors, garage doors, and just the structure overall. It's built to be able to sustain hurricanes. Over there, bro, like it's
Well, as
completely
you
different.
know, I'm Cuban, and I definitely have seen and I know about the situations over there, and the garbage situation is getting crazy. So I forgot to introduce myself, but I'm Mr. Scrooge. I have Johan Duque today with me, certified real estate agent and insurance agent. And we're here today, Thursday night, after a very long day, just to have a little chat.
Catch together, bro.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was one of those days where
I think
put in all
you
the
got
work.
unlucky today,
Yeah.
but I feel like there was some pretty good contact in the office and everything was pretty good.
Overall,
People, I feel like the call volume was low, systems always having their issues and things like that. But other than that, I feel like it was a decent day. Tomorrow's the end of the month. Just got to focus on finishing the month strong, having a
right.
good month, and you're starting over again. Next month is a new month,
That's it, bro.
and every day is a fresh start. So
Every single day. I think in sales specifically, that's probably the strongest thing that you can have in your mind. Just every day start at zero, push yourself to the limit every single day. Because, bro, I think that's probably the biggest thing, of how you stay
you
on
have
top of it.
to. I feel like you personally have to come into it with that mentality, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody's as mentally strong to think in that way, but you have to be willing to start from zero every day, all over again, knowing that you're not really at zero because you're working towards a much larger number. But every day mentally, you have to come prepared and come with the deep reality that in your head you're at zero and you got to work it all over again. You got to start all over again and make it happen again
That's how it is.
because it's all about repetition, consistency, and doing the same thing over and
And
over again.
exactly. And bro, I think you just hit it right on the nail. That's probably like the biggest thing in sales. This is the thing. Sales is it's probably the best industry that you can be in. In sales, it's something where you have skills. You gotta have skills to be able to be a good salesman. But overall, bro, it's just having that strong mentality of every single day setting a goal for yourself. I think that's probably one of the most important things. Daily goal, making sure that you do what you have to do, and understanding that in the boredom of the repetition of the job is where you're gonna be able to see the fruits of that success. You get me? So I think that's
Boring is good.
yeah,
Boring is good. And people are wrong for chasing fun, for chasing something that they think that in order for them to live a good life, they have to do something that's fun and that makes them happy. Of course, you have to like what you do, but it doesn't have to be something fun. It doesn't have to be something that I think more so the reason why sales is so rewarding is because it challenges you every single day. And when you're constantly being challenged, you're constantly working on self improvement and you're constantly working on becoming better each and every single day.
exactly.
Of course, consistency is key, but our human nature is to stay hungry and to want more. So
Every day.
the challenging aspect of sales, I would 100% agree that it puts it out there as, the best industry because you really can become a millionaire just
All
off of
from that.
sales.
Exactly, bro.
Yeah.
And I think overall, bro, like every single thing that you do, you have to have a sales skill. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Because in every single industry, we're not banks. We're not the federal government. We don't have a machine that prints money. So how do
You
you
have to sell yourself.
exactly?
You have to sell
So
yourself.
how do you sell yourself? Self-improvement every day. Every single day you're learning, just like you said it. Every day you have to learn. And from every objection that you get, take that into account. Because an objection, at least in my perspective, it's just a little wall in between the client saying yes. An objection is never actually a no. It's more like of a wall that you have to go through it to get to the actual problem of why it is that the person doesn't want to buy the product or why it is that objection is there. So overall, I think it's just mastering the skill every single day. And You have to every single day be willing to learn, be willing to apply what you're learning every single day, because if you go day by day just taking objections and not trying to overcome them, not learning from them, you're always gonna be in square one.
And understanding why you're getting the objections you're getting.
Yeah.
Because if in every single situation that you run across, you're getting the same objections back to back over and over again, it's not the customer objecting you, it's you're making the same mistake leading to that same objection.
Over and
Because there
over.
are objections that can be avoided if you take control and you do the right things from the beginning of the phone call.
Yeah, that's how it is.
But if you don't take that initiative when you're speaking to people and you let them control the call, then boom, you get your objections.
You have to in sales. I mean, I'm a firm believer, bro, that when you're doing anything where you have to persuade somebody, you have to be one, knowledgeable on the product. You have to know exactly what you're doing. And two, you have to have a level of self knowledge and self um authority, pretty much. You have to, like you just said, you have to take control of the sale. You have to install into the person that's talking to you on the phone. They have to understand that you're the master at that. That overall, whatever it is that they're buying, whatever product it is, whether it's insurance, a house, any type of product that the person is buying, they have to understand that you're the one that knows the product the best. There's people that they think they know things because they heard from their mom, their dad, people that they don't really understand about that. But if you know your product well enough and you transmit that confidence into the client, the prospect that you're speaking with, there's
Yeah,
really
because
like
it's not just about selling. Um, it is also about informing.
right,
If you have information that the customer is lacking on and the person that you're speaking to, sometimes that is a determining factor that you're teaching them something that they didn't already know.
exactly.
You're correcting them on a misconception that they had, and they always thought this meant something else, and you just proved them wrong. You showed them what it really means, and you just opened up a light to them that makes them value your knowledge and the information that you gave them. So
Exactly.
I feel like informing is a super important part of things. Although, of course, not everybody wants to be taught a lesson, or to sit there and listen to you teaching them about something. But
Exactly.
you do have to be knowledgeable, because you do have to be informational when speaking to people.
Exactly.
And generally, that's a very important part of the sales process.
I think it is. And I feel like most people that they're in sales and they're not really achieving their goals or at the level that they really want to be, where when they first got into the industry and stuff like that, I think that's probably one of the biggest issues that they have overall. They don't have enough information. They don't learn enough, because every day you have to be learning. Industries, they change every single day. If you're not on top of what's the newest trend, what's the newest thing, what it is that the product that you're selling at that moment, then you're gonna stay behind. And the reality about sales is that sales is kind of I like to see it as if it's like a jungle type of thing. You get me? You're gonna have sheeps, you're gonna have wolves, and overall, the wolf is always going to be the predator. They're the ones that are always going to eat. You
Yeah.
get me? They're the ones that are always going to go all out. It does not matter how hard the fight is gonna be, how hard the objection is gonna be. They're always gonna be the ones that are gonna
It's
eat the
funny that
most.
you say jungle, because I look at it as a fish tank. And I don't know if you know a lot about fish tanks and, like freshwater fish tanks, but, I really analyzed this once, that I had this 50-gallon fish tank at my house, and I bought these fishes called angel fish. And I had a few fish, I had plecos, I had a bunch of fish in my tank. And every morning I would wake up and there would be like two more dead fishes. And the angel fishes, they were fine. They were the ones, the only ones swimming around. One day I wake up middle of the night and I'm looking at the tank because I had some nice fluorescent lights on it. And I see the angel fish just picking at them, like bullying the other fish.
hunting them down.
So I compare cells to a fish tank. You
Yeah,
know, you have the sharks, you have the angel fish, and then you have the plecos.
exactly.
You know, and that's, at least for me, that's my my
Intake
views
on
on it. Same thing as what you're saying with the
overall.
jungle, but it's funny that you mentioned that
Yeah,
analogy because
that's how
it
it. That's how it
correlates.
exactly. Sales. It's a game not for everybody. You get me? Don't get me wrong. Not everybody's meant to be a salesman. You get me? But one thing that I've learned is, man, a lot of times the person that you least expected to be good ended up being the sharks.
I will say this: sales is not for everybody, but if you're determined enough, you can suck at sales but still become good at it.
Yeah,
You don't have to you don't have to be naturally good at sales. It can be something that's just not for you. Now, your determination is what really makes, that outcome,
that outcome. Yeah,
whether you're going to be good or not.
yeah,
A lot of times I've seen that happen a lot. People that really don't have that art for sales or for talking to people, but they're determined and they have a goal and they know what they want. And
exactly.
that determination really sets you far apart from everybody else. One thing actually that I wanted to ask you was about character and personality. And, I feel like, does do you think personally that your upbringing in life and how you grew up, what struggles you went through, do you think that they determine whether you're going to be good or not in something like this?
100%. 100%. The way that, if you're somebody that grew up, at least I'm going to say how you asked me from my point of view and the way that I grew up. I grew up in a house where I never really struggled. You get me? I mean, we were never rich. You get me? I had to see my mom. By the way, my mom, she was pretty much single mom. You get me? We moved here from Colombia when I was like 8 years old. And brother, I had to see my mom do whatever it took to raise a
To
family,
make it happen?
make it happen. So, I feel like that put something inside of me from very young that nothing in this earth is gonna be given to you. You have to definitely work. You have to go through battles. You have to go through struggles. Um, you can't be scared of starting over. Overall, that's a fear that most people have. What would happen if I stop doing this and if I start over on something else?
You have to
And
be willing to start from the ground though.
always,
Again,
always, always, and I feel like that's something that would just build character in you. So can I answer your question? I mean, yeah, the way that you grew up in your house and the things that you see your parents have to go through as you're growing up is gonna build you. It's gonna mold you to be the man or the woman that you're going to be in the future.
what I feel like I've learned over time, and especially from being around so many people and learning new characters, we deal with so many characters and personalities every day, all day. So we get like a very good view on who people really are. One thing that I've noticed is the people that have it all and that do get things easily. What I mean by that is the people that grew up, in a decent middle class or had a good upbringing. They had their parents, blessed them with everything, and you know they had decent money. Those people that didn't really have to work for what they wanted, but they still got it. they tend to not value things the same. And now, again, this is my point of view. Not everybody's the same, so I can't stereotype this for every single person out there.
Exactly.
But most of the time, they don't value things the same because they didn't see or they don't recognize the struggles that someone has to go through in order to earn nice things.
Exactly.
So later on in life, when that does become a problem for those individuals, is when they take a step into reality. And then the nice things, maybe you're lucky, maybe you got your parents there forever, blessing you. But when you step outside of that and you really start to see the struggle, it's a big shock. So they completely fall, because they think that it's just easy.
Exactly.
And
And
it's not easy.
it's not. It's not. It's definitely it's the way the character is built, in my opinion. You get me? The way that, for example, like you just said it, most people, most, not everybody. You get me? Because I also know a lot of people that they came from money and their parents
Me
at the
too.
same time taught them well. You get me? Because there's one difference as well. Like if you come from money, not from generational wealth, that was passed on from family to family to family, but like let's say your parents were the first ones that actually made something out of their life. Majority of the time, those parents are going to teach their kids a lot of things that middle class, lower middle class won't know about finances, about, for example, credit, how to invest money, how to not just leave money in a bank account, but put that money to work.
But it's one thing to teach them financial education, and it's a different thing to teach them morals and values. Because I feel that when you grow up a certain way and you didn't have to see struggle, then you your morals and values are not going to be the same as somebody who went through a struggle and through or maybe not went through a struggle but saw a struggle to make things happen. And I'll give you an example. I My parents are not wealthy. You know, they were very hardworking, first generation of Cuban Americans here in the U.S. And they came here when they were already in their 20s. So they had to start from the ground up, working factories, working very hard. And at least when I started growing up, my parents already had their professions, of course, but I saw them struggle. I saw that when I wanted toys or when I wanted a tablet or not tablets at the time, it was like I wanted like a computer or like Legos,
PlayStations or something.
or an Xbox, whatever.
Yeah,
But when I wanted those things, I recognize now and I value and I look back at those moments. And back in the day, I know that, you know, they had to put in hours of work just to get me that. And I look back and, it just shows you a different view of gratitude, morals, and values, because those are things that you just simply can't instill on somebody that never saw those things. They never saw somebody, work very hard
to be able to
to
get you
to be
something.
able to get you something,
Yeah, no, you're
to be able to
100%
treat you, to be able to put food on the table. You know,
100% right on that one. And yeah, I feel like that's uh that's something that you definitely, you know, coming from nothing and specifically having to see your parents build something from nothing, it's something that definitely implements into your life.
yeah.
And that just shows you from a very young age how the world really is. And at least for me, I would always remember my mom telling me like, hey, this life is not gonna be easy. Life is not gonna give you anything that you don't work for. So never be scared of work. Doesn't matter what it is. Always make sure that you put first your values in front of anything. And second, don't be fearful. Just go all out. Give whatever you're doing, give it your 100%, and you're gonna be fine in life.
A big lesson and value that I learned from them is the power of delayed gratification. You don't have to always expect to be, you know, to get that reward or to get that result instantly. The power of the delayed gratification, it means that you know that what you're doing and what you're putting in, you're going to get out from it, but it's not immediate. So you know that it can be 2, 3 years from now of you consistently putting your efforts and your work into something, and you're going to get it back at some point. But
Yeah.
what big lesson is, it's not immediate. It takes, things take time. Good things take time. And that was a very important lesson for me in life. Quick and easy, it's not real.
It's not.
And if it's quick and easy, then it goes out the door quick and easy. But those things that take you a long time to get and that you have to work hard and you have to put in a lot of time into them, you won't see the that gratification, those results. You won't see what you want out of it immediate or soon. But when you do see it, it was all well worth it.
It was definitely, and it's I think that's a struggle that most people have. They do something, and if they don't see the immediate results, they just give up. They think, oh no, this is not gonna be for me, or this is just not what I want to do, just because they're not willing to sacrifice enough time into doing something to be able to see that fruit. And I think and not just from that aspect, majority of the people, um, and I think nobody better than you would understand this being an agency owner, having staff under you. Most people they want a pat in the back as soon as they do something. And if they don't get that recognition, immediately they sink back down.
Oh yeah. That was a big, big, big lesson that I learned, especially going from an employee to an employer, was that you put in hours and hours, you pour your heart and soul into something. And it's like I said, the results are not going to be immediate. And nobody's coming to thank you. Nobody is coming to tell you what a good job you're doing. It just doesn't exist and it's not real.
It
And
doesn't.
if you're not okay with that and you're sitting there wondering when you're going to get that, it doesn't exist.
Doesn't.
You have to be willing to work hard and do the work when nobody's willing to recognize you or appreciate you for it. You
Exactly.
just have to do it knowing that there's going to be a well end result from it.
And that's I think that just it's an overall thing in life. If you do your when nobody's watching, the hard work that you're putting in, that's gonna be the reward for you. Because you shouldn't be living life waiting for somebody to recognize you or for somebody to say, "Oh my God, you're doing so good," just for you to feel good about yourself. You should feel good about yourself by the work that you're putting in on anything. It can be by the going to the gym, like the hours that nobody's seeing you wake up early, grind. Um, if you're, for example, people that are still going to school, they I look at, like, for example, college students and stuff like that. It's they in a way they have that mentality that I have to put in the work right now, because once I finish and I go into whatever career path it is that they're studying, that's going to be the reward. It's not immediate because you have to go through a lot of years of school, a lot of
To be
years
able
of
to get there.
knowledge to be able to get there. So it's the same thing overall in life. You get me? If you start, like, let's say you start going to the gym, right? And you're not seeing the results within the first couple weeks or whatever it is, most people they'll just give up. They'll say, okay, like it is what it is. But just staying consistent with something for yourself, that's gonna be the actual rewarding thing at the end. So I think we have very similar points of view on that.
I think success 100% requires obsession. And that's what people don't understand. Kind of like you were saying, they go into something, they try something out, and then within the first 2 or 3 months, they say that it's not for them because maybe they're doing a mediocre job at it and they have to go completely out of the way and go crazy at it to actually start to see results down the road.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have that view where, you know, they're not obsessed with what they do. And you have to become literally obsessed with anything you do, whether it's the gym, whether it's, you know, whatever you're trying to build. If you're trying to build yourself, you have to become obsessed with yourself.
Hundred
If
percent.
you're trying to make a lot of money, you have to become obsessed with what you're doing. And that's just the only way to get, really successful.
It is, and it's like the other day I was listening to something. I mean, my free time and stuff like that. I like to listen to successful people, podcasts, just to see more or less like what it is that it takes for you to get to those points. And one thing that every single person that's a high level performer on anything that they do, it's always the same exact thing. If you give everything your 100%, there's no failure. If you give, for example, the insurance industry, how you started, you gave it your all. You pour your heart, you put your soul, time, everything into it. And at the end of the day, you're able to see the fruits of the results. And it's a very different thing because I'm pretty sure when you were a producer at one point, you would see that most of the people they wouldn't have that mindset. You were able to build yourself to become an actual agency owner, while most of the people that you worked with at that point, they're probably still being employees, while you went to a different level. But that all comes from that obsession, wanting to be something and just having a clear mind with a goal of what it is that you want to do.
And you know what I see very often is that people tell me that they're burned out. So to give you like a really good follow-up question, how would you say that you deal with the burnout to come back and to come back stronger?
Probably the
Because the burnout is very real.
Yeah, it's a real
I went
thing
through the burnout process and I go through the burnout process multiple times.
all the time.
How do you deal with it?
For me, it's having a very strong why, a reason why even started doing something. You know, uh, like for me, for example, you know, I'm a family man. I have a daughter, and I can't be a loser. You got me. So for me, my reason why it's very strong on my family, and knowing the fact that I have somebody that depends on me, somebody that's growing up watching me, because it's crazy. Like she's at a point already in life where I know that she sees everything that I do. And from this very young age, that's something that's gonna be implemented into her head that, hey, my dad is somebody that doesn't give up, always finds a way of making things happen. So there's always going to be burnout moments, where you're gonna be tired, you're going to just want to say, oh, screw this, like I don't want to do something today, or take a break or something like that. But if your why is stronger than your doubt, you're always going to make something happen. That's my point of view. How do you see it?
Well, with how I deal with the burnout, because the burnout is very real. I find something to do, at least give myself a little extra time, whether it's uh having a little project at the house, something that I'm working on, or dedicating a night to myself and sitting down playing video games, which I rarely do, but or maybe just watching movies and relaxing. But I feel like when you give yourself one little break during the week and you
Yeah,
can unwind, that next day you come back stronger.
definitely.
So for me, I just find something to do to keep myself busy, to not focus on the burnout. Because I feel the big mistake is when you start to overthink and you start to think that you're burned out.
Yeah, I think yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, we're all humans. We're not computers. We can't do something 24/7 without eventually getting tired. So, of course, you need to make sure that you give yourself some time here and there. But I think the one of the biggest problems that people would see in that is they'll let something, instead of being like a small break to go back into it, they'll just keep extending it, and procrastinating the things that they know they have to do, instead of just, hey, okay, today
Well,
I'm gonna
I'm the
take my
type of
day.
person that I get bored of things very quick. So when I jump on a video game and I start to play a video game, I'll get bored within like the first 20, 30 minutes of me playing that video game. And the same thing happens when I try to unwind and do something else to take my mind off of things and off of work. I get bored. And then what intrigues me is figuring out how I can better the business again and working back on work. But the good thing is just switching it up. So having a healthy balance where you can focus on one thing and at the same time, you know, be able to take a little break and work on something else that you have going on and then going back, and being able to like work on it again.
Yeah,
That was one of my biggest struggles as a producer was the burnout process. I got burned out many times and it was never easy because you're at a point mentally where it's not that you are gonna give up. It's not that you want to. It's just that your mind can't take it anymore
yeah,
because you went so crazy, you burned yourself out. So I went through it a lot, and every single time you can't give up. You just have to keep going no matter what. And I feel like it's for me personally, it's something where I have to prove it to myself.
yeah,
Like how am I gonna be getting burned out? I
exactly.
have so much more to prove here,
That you can make it
you know?
happen. And like, now that we're talking about this subject, I mean, I think throughout my career in sales overall, because I've sold many different types of things. One of the biggest struggles that I had, that I still work on it, and every day we're learning. It's it was probably the comfort, because you get to a level when you become a high producer at something, and for example, I do real estate and I do insurance sales as well. Well, when I started my real estate career, the first year or so, it was obviously, it was sort of like the learning time. So obviously, I went all out. I bought programs, mentorships, courses to be able to become better. And man, once I got to a point where I just knew what to do, it was so easy to just make money, that it just gets to a point where comfort kicks in. And that's a problem that I personally struggled with on my first couple of years, because I think I told you this before, and it's, kind of shameful to say it, but man, it was a point in my career where I made so much money throughout the first couple of months of the year that I just laid back. And that was probably always my biggest problem because I always had to start back from zero. It was a month where I'll make 20,000. The next month I'll make another 20. And this one year specifically, I remember I was making every month around 20 to $30,000. And then one month alone, I made almost 70,000. So in a matter of 6 months, I made way over six figures. And, you know, I remember I just looked at my bank account. I was like, you know what, man, I, I'm going to take a little break for a day. And then that day ended up becoming a couple weeks, a couple months into the point where I realized, okay, I have to start again. And then it was that struggle of starting back at zero. So that's why I'm saying, like being consistent into something and not letting that comfort kick in, it's probably one of the biggest
But
things.
I mean, moments like that, they're necessary because that wasn't a failure or an L that you took taking those months off, because you look back at it now and you realize the mistakes that you made.
Yeah,
So, in my opinion and how I think, like, there's never failures, there's only lessons.
yeah,
And that was a lesson that you needed to learn, to not allow yourself to get comfortable. So,
definitely.
it was super important.
It is. And yeah, I mean, every day, now after all those things that I had to go through, struggles, where it came to a point where I remember even my wife would tell me, she's like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, we have to get back on the grind. And it was a point where I was just like, man, comfort will really destroy your goals. So just like you said, it was definitely a lesson learned. I took that, and from there on, I just moved on with everything. Made sure that that doesn't get in the way of anything anymore. So just always staying on top of everything, staying consistent now. And yeah, a little break here and there never hurts. But it's like I was saying, that's why I told you at the beginning that
Right back to the grind.
right back to the
Right back
grind.
to the grind.
You can't extend that break too much because that's when the comfort
And
kicks in.
moments like that and things like that, those are probably moments, because I'm sure that when you started to get back into it, you probably had burned down all that bread and you're starting from zero again and you're going through a struggle and you go through tough times
Yeah,
with the people around you. You emotionally, physically, mentally, you go through hard times when you're learning these lessons. And part of steering clear for a bright future is being able to heal from your past, from what you've gone through,
yeah,
the type of person that you once were, and being able to heal from that and recognize who you are today and steering clear forward.
exactly.
Healing from your past is key.
It is. It is. I mean, you know, touching that subject, I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. Like just learning how to let go.
People
And
stay so stuck on their past and victimize themselves
yeah,
on what happened in their life and what they've gone through, that they hold themselves back from being able to move on and to do something better for themselves. And it's just you holding yourself back.
it is.
Now, it's easier said than done. There is a process to this, and you really have to dig deep so that you can heal from whatever you went through. But there comes a point where time heals, and it's super key and super important for you to actually move forward and do something with your life
It is.
and live a happy life, because time's limited. You know, we don't get no do-overs, we don't get no second chance, and we have to make the best out of the time that we have here now. So healing and letting the time go by is super key for you to really steer a successful and a happy life.
100%. And That's that's probably one of the a very important thing, you know. A lot of people they get so stuck in the past that they just don't know how to let go of that, you know. And for example, I mean, I've had, you know, in life I've had to let go of a couple of friendships here and there because of exactly that. You know, every time that I would see a friend or whatever it is from the past, they always just talk about the past. You know, just past situations and past things and past that. Never talking about a future, never talking about growth, how to become better, nothing. It was always just things about the past. So it's it's something where time does heal, but you have to work towards it as well. Because if not, it won't. If you have that same mentality all the time and you don't change your thoughts, you don't change the way that you are every single day, doesn't matter how much time passes, I feel like you still won't change. If your mind is just focused and centered on a certain thing that hurt you in the past or that changed something in the past for you in a dramatic way or whatever it is, if you don't learn how to let go of that, it does I feel like it doesn't matter how much time passes by, you'll always get stuck on
You're
that
gonna
thing.
stay stuck
You get me?
in the past.
So it's something where you just always have to work towards that because time will heal things as long as you're willing to let go as well. So that's why letting go of certain things it's so important, you know? Um like for example, I feel like a big part of life and success and not just success in life overall, but just changing. We're humans, you know, and one of the most beautiful things for us as humans, I think it's change. You get me? We change, we evolve. We can't stay stuck the same person forever. If we are, then you know there's definitely something very wrong. So I feel like a big part of life is just knowing who you're surrounded by, and even at times, even if you have to cut ties with somebody or something, that for more than it can hurt you, because you know sometimes it will be not the most comfortable thing in the world, but if
Doing it for your own
for
benefit.
your own benefit. You know, you have to always think about not to sound, you know, like greedy or anything in a way or selfish, but you always have to think about yourself. You know, you can't always think for other people.
I always
And
say that. Think about yourself first.
yeah, you can be a people pleaser.
Johan, I think it's important to always look forward and never look back and always think ahead. And guys, that was episode 3. If you live in Florida and you're looking for more affordable auto insurance, home insurance, any type of insurance, please follow Dynamic Insurance on Instagram and reach out to me. I can more than likely 100% help you out and help you save some money. See you next week.